We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Looking after your mental health is super important, and I think it's just as important as looking after your physical health. And I think that it's even more important at the moment, when all the things that we would normally do to make ourselves feel better, we can't do at the moment. And I know for myself that I love to see my friends, I love to go out, I love to do things and socialise, and it makes me feel incredible, and I can't do it anymore, or at least for the meantime. So my thing that I do when time feels like it's blurring together and you're spending days and days and they're all kind of merging into one, you find yourself sat in front of the TV endlessly. I like to go out for walks. I like to take a break and just go for a walk outside, no matter the weather, because for me it's the fresh air and the scenery. I'm really lucky, so I live by the racecourse in Epsom, and it's stunning, and even on a bad day, you know, the smell of the grass and the trees can make me feel 100 times better. Luckily, when I went out for my walk today, it was gorgeous and sunny, and I think that just taking yourself into a little bit of nature can make everything 100% better. It just can pause everything, and it just makes the world feel better again, and takes you out of everything that's in the house and all the things you need to do and can't do, or need to do and haven't done yet.
I know that the whole coronavirus has definitely affected me and my mental health. Obviously, like, we don't even know what's going to happen next month, let alone within the next year. It's confusing for everyone of all ages, genders, ethnicities. The only thing we can really do to combat those feelings is to find distractions, to find something that's going to help us through. Communicating either with family or friends, or, you know, anyone you can trust, anyone you love. I think that's a very important thing to do, to stay in contact with those people. They're there to talk to you, and it's a lot easier to just say, although it might be difficult to actually express and say how you're feeling and what's going on in your head, it's important to let those feelings out rather than just keeping them into yourself, because being stuck alone at home with your thoughts can just be, yeah, it can just take over. Obviously, if that's not something that people want to do, if that's not something that people like doing, because I'm not very good at talking about how I'm feeling, I'll just get in a slump, in a mood, and I won't be able to properly express what's going on in my head. So I find other distractions, listening to music, songs that mean a lot to me, songs that I have linked with memories or emotions or anything like that. I find listening to those really help me, because obviously I can just sort of try to focus on my breathing, reading or watching something, you know, documentaries, films, TV shows, literally anything, because you can just be whisked away by your imagination to some other world, some other different time, different place, you know. You don't have to necessarily think about all of this shit that's going on. I think also exercise, for example, I like to do yoga because it helps me focus on my breathing and my mentality, my mental state, thinking about just letting go of my thoughts and that sort of stuff. And obviously there's loads of videos on YouTube and all that sort of stuff on how to meditate, how to do yoga, because yoga can, although you can get the more advanced levels, you can also get the very easy levels, and it re-earths yourself, if that makes sense. It's just a reconnection with you and your mind and your body just together to come into one state of peaceful being. And obviously getting outside as much as possible. Like, I love going on walks with my dogs because my dogs bring me so much joy anyway. And just getting outside and actually being able to breathe the fresh air, because being inside can feel so claustrophobic and you can just feel so tight and anxious being in a closed space. So when you just get outside, you can just breathe and let go of everything and just walk, and I find it all very therapeutic.
So this week is Mental Health Week, so I'll basically go through what I've been doing during lockdown. So I've been drinking 2 litres of water a day, which has helped my skin, and I've got less spots. I've been sleeping 8 hours a day, give or take obviously, but listening to my body more, going to sleep when I'm tired, waking up when I wake up instead of forcing myself to stay in bed if I can't be bothered. I've been doing more exercise, eating more fruit and veg, all the rest of that, eating more nutritious and healthier foods. And one thing I learned, which was really useful, I can't remember where I learned it, but it was where you look at yourself and you think, actually I'm not a big fan of that thing in myself. You know, you look at your body or you look at your behaviour and you think, I don't like that. And if it's not an undesirable thing, or if it's not an undesirable characteristic, you kind of look at it and you accept it. You kind of accept that's part of me and you don't hate it anymore. You don't say, I hate this part. And that really helps, because you look at your body and then you think, actually I accept this, it's part of me. And then eventually you'll grow to like it more and more. Maybe not love it, but it gets you to look at your body in a more positive way, or yourself in a more positive way. Also, breathing exercises, just breathing in and out, breathing in for 5 seconds and out for 5 seconds, is really lovely. And yeah, it's just little things which I do.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning and I've just come off a Zoom with some of the most amazing people in my life. I'm so grateful for part of the sort of family we've built with class action, and the main thing I've done, which has kept me going and improved my mental health, is working with and talking to and socialising with all of these amazing people from class action, and I love every single one of you so much with all of my heart. Whether I've reached out to you or not in lockdown, I love you all so much, all so talented, and I don't know what it's going to be like when we're not together, and it's going to be tough, but we'll always come back because you're amazing, and that, knowing you guys, has really helped my mental health in lockdown. Another thing, mental health wise, smiling. That's something that those people make me do anyway. They make me smile, and just smiling more has improved how I'm sort of am in lockdown. If you're feeling down, try and find some music that just makes you smile. Like for me, there are some songs which maybe the tempo, maybe how sort of joyful the song is, just makes me smile and makes me feel so much better. Another thing I've been doing to improve mental health, working out. I've never been the most confident in my body. I've been quite self-conscious in the past, and lockdown has given me time to accept my body and work out so I can be who I want to be and not be penned in by my worries and my fears. Not get penned in by those, and that's really liberating and really amazing. Accept yourself. It's something I learned in lockdown. Accepting yourself is the most important thing. You can't love others until you love yourself. I know people who give all of their love to other people, and I used to do that quite a lot, and I still do, but I've learned I have to love myself before I can truly love anyone else, and that's big. I've taken up enough time on this time capsule, and I probably need some sleep, because it is past 3 in the morning. So if you're watching it, I hope that helps, and to all of you from class X, I love you so much, and you've made such a difference to my life and my mental health that I'll never be able to thank you enough.
This week is a mental health special, so I've written some things on post-it notes on my mirror, which are some positive things which I have adapted to or taken up to help my mental health during lockdown. Obviously, these are just things which have helped me, or that I have grown to adapt and take on. It's so weird. This is a bit of a personal one this week, but anyways, these work for me. They might not work for you, but I think it's really important to acknowledge that everyone is going through a collective trauma at the moment. Lockdown is something unprecedented. Nobody expected this. and especially with the protests going on as well, there are a lot of vulnerable members of our community, and it's really important to protect everyone's mental health. You know, activism is emotionally tough and exhausting, and even more so being one of those minority communities is intense and emotionally exhausting. So it's really important that we're all looking out for each other and all taking on a responsibility to protect each other's mental health. So I just thought it'd be important to say that, as it does reflect, you know, this time capsule reflects the time we're in, and we're in a very turbulent time. So yeah, it is important. Check up on your friends, check up on your family. My first one is look after number one, which is essentially something which Dr. Phil McGraw said. I highly recommend looking up his 10 life laws. They're really useful to sometimes process emotion or identify things in your life which you might not be happy with, which are typical archetypes or things which can help you lead a more fulfilling life or recognise problems in your life that can be changed. So he says, as your own client, you must treat yourself with great care and manage yourself with the understanding that you are a very important person. In fact, I can tell you that the most important person in my life is Phil McGraw. I do not apologise for that, nor do I believe that it is selfish. I'm the only husband and father that my wife and children have. If I take care of myself, then I have something to give in those two important roles. If I choose instead to be a martyr, if I constantly self-sacrifice and do not take care of myself, then I may not be there physically or emotionally when they need me. And I think this is something which my dad introduced me to. My dad introduced me to Phil McGraw, and it's something which during lockdown has been really important, because obviously we're all in isolation at the moment, but if you can't show up for yourself and if you can't take care of yourself, then you can't expect to be able to show up for anyone else or help and take care of anyone else. And in such weird times, we're wanting to help other people and we're wanting to show up for them, but it's really important that we remember that if we don't take care of ourselves, number one, you're not going to be able to be a fulfilling part of anyone else's life, and you won't be able to help them. So I think that changed my mindset quite a bit, because it does feel a bit selfish, but it is really important to remember that you only have one of you. You need to make sure that you and yourself are protecting yourself in order to protect and help others. So that's my first one, which has helped my mental health, because it's made me not feel so guilty about actually taking some time to be a bit selfish and take some time away from people just to focus and reconnect with myself. My second one is this one, which says growth is uncomfortable but needed to evolve. And this is a really interesting one because throughout college a lot of us would have changed quite a bit or been introduced to new people and grown quite a lot over the 2 years. So when we've been taken out of that earlier in a very transitive transitioning period, I think it's important to realise that the growth we've made doesn't just stop because we're not in that educational environment anymore, and the growth which we've made and learnt carries forward into our next steps, whatever that may be. And it is uncomfortable and it does feel weird changing and growing into a different person who you might not have been a year and a half or 2 years ago. And I think it's important to sit with that change, appreciate it's there, and realise that this is how you're going to evolve into the person who your next chapter is supposed to be. And I think that is really important for us, especially going from a college environment into university or gap year or foundation years or drama school. They're big changes, and I think it's important to appreciate that change is good. It's scary and hard, but it is good because it's how we learn and evolve. Leading on to this one, which is a little mantra which I have really found but it helps me personally. I'm quite an emotional, empathetic person, so I tend to take on a lot of other people's emotions, but also dwell on emotions that I'm feeling personally, and I think that can sometimes be a bit damaging to me because I dwell and latch on to emotions and then don't let them go. And letting go has been a big thing for me during college, but also in this lockdown period. It says acknowledge, sit with it and move forward. And it's my little mantra that whenever I'm feeling something, or I see something which is a trigger, or I see something which evokes an emotion which I'm not comfortable with or isn't a happy emotion, I've taken to saying I acknowledge that the emotion is there. I then sit with the emotion and, you know, realise that it's there, but then I move forward and I let the emotion go and I move forward with my day or with the moment or with my life. Those 3 steps really have helped me be a bit less intense over emotions and just realise that they're just there. They're essentially just chemicals and feelings, and we have entire control over our feelings, and that processing of acknowledging it's there and then sitting with it makes it seem a lot less daunting and intimidating as a feeling, and rather makes it into a tangible thing that I can go, right, this is what I'm feeling, I'm sitting with it, I acknowledge you're there, but I'm gonna let you go. And I think that for me personally is a really good way of getting myself out of a tizzy or out of an emotional outburst or feeling, because I can just calm myself down by doing that. So that has been a really big thing over lockdown, and especially going out of lockdown as lockdown's being eased, seeing people maybe not being as disciplined as maybe they should be, and me doing that. Those feelings can really be helped by doing that mantra for me. I'm going to go with this one next. This says, honour your body, you only get one. And as much as that's cheesy, I think it's true. You know, I had quite a difficult relationship with food, and coming from a very active day-to-day at college to then a maybe not so active day in lockdown, that transition was quite hard, and you know, you start to see your body change, maybe because you're comfort eating more, you're just not expending as much energy as you would in a normal day. And I think it has been really important for me to take it down to a basic level of the fact that no matter where we are, we need to eat. You need to eat to fuel your body. Your body is a machine, and a machine which isn't fueled isn't going to work well. So you do need to eat. Diets and stuff, if it's not fulfilling you and it's actually making you more emotionally drained and less happy in your mental health, then it's not productive and it's not worth it. So I think for me, getting in touch with myself and actually realising, you know, I'm okay with my body changing through lockdown. I'm okay because I understand why it is. I understand that it's just because I've been taken out of a very, very active day-to-day. You know, drama is incredibly physical most of the time, and I'm not doing that here. I'm not, you know, walking up Golden College Hill, which was like a main part of my exercise, you know, so I don't have access to a gym, so I'm trying to make the best of home workouts and stuff, and it's just not quite the same. You only get one body, so you've got to take care of it, whatever way that is for you, whether it is having a few cheat days in a week, like eat the bloody cake, eat it, it's there, enjoy it. Food is there to be enjoyed as well as to fuel us. For my mental health, it's been really important to not see myself as, you're putting on weight, or your body's changing negatively, and to actually think, you know, my body is coping with a emotional time, and this is how it's happening, and this is how it's evolving, and this is how it's changing, and this is just another part of my growth. Eat the bloody cake. Just do it. My last one says, look in the mirror and see the goddess in you, or God, or non-binary ethereal being. See it in you. And I know that's super hippie, but I think it's true. I think when we look in the mirror, it's really important for our mental health to see ourselves as incredible beings. You know, it's amazing that we walk on this earth, and it's amazing the humanity we have when we come together, which has been shown in these protests, which has been shown in the Black Lives Matter movement. All across the world, in all 50 states of America, protests are happening. And I think it's so important to look at ourselves in the mirror and not feed ourselves this negative narrative of, you know, oh, I don't look like this, or I don't feel like I should feel, or I don't think I'm doing enough. Because as long as you are trying your best, and as long as you're doing everything you can in that moment to either help yourself or help others around you, then that's all anyone can expect of you. That's all anyone can ask of you. And if you do more than that, then that's going above and beyond. And it's not a competition between each of us to feel a certain way in this time, especially. So I think for me, looking in the mirror and changing that narrative in my head from going, oh, you're not doing enough, I don't think, you know, you're really not, you're not doing everything that everyone else is doing, and changing it to actually going, you know what, you got up today, you had a shower, you ate breakfast, and that's enough. That might be enough for today. If you've read a book, amazing. You've engaged with something intellectual. You've engaged with your brain and a narrative which is great for you. It's healthy. And if you've, you know, donated, if you've done petitions, if you've signed stuff, if you've gone out to protest safely, you know, that's all those things are important to appreciate, that lots of people are doing different things and lots of people are coping in different ways. And I think that looking in the mirror and seeing yourself as a person who has cosmic magic in you is important. So yeah, look in the mirror, see the magic within you, because you're capable. And it's important to reiterate that to yourself. It's important not to wait for someone to tell you that, and for instead you to tell yourself, because you are number one in your life and you got to take care of yourself. And that's not selfish, it just means that you can show up for other people more.
Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth.